Dana White spoke about Pereira over the weekend. He said, Alex Pereira has been so great to work with. I got no issue with him going up. But he was also asked about Khamzat Chimaev and said, I want him to defend. Now, let's break this down because these are very different scenarios, okay? History is largely all that we have to go off of. And before we get into a champ-champ situation, you got to clean out the division. That's just what history says. Chimaev is yet to defend. And not only is he yet to defend, he's got some meaningful contenders, right? We can't just ignore Imavov in the rankings. We can't act like Drikas doesn't have a way to work his way back. We can't act like Nickel's not coming, RDR doesn't exist, and Sean's standing there waiting for him. Now, here's what Chimaev could do, and that is to relinquish. That's the one thing where I'm never too sure how serious a guy is when he says, I want to go up. I give you a great example because we saw it twice in this last year, right? We saw Ilia do it and we saw Islam do it. But Ilia was so serious about going up that he did not go up first. He did not secure himself something. He did not talk about champ status. He said, hey, your 45-pound belt, take it back because I'm never beating that scale again. But you're not really left with too many choices. And by the way, Ilia had no bird in hand. He was not promised an opportunity. He took the risk. Said, I don't care. One's got nothing to do with the other. I am not going 45 again. Like, it was very different when Ilia said it. This wasn't a conversation. Ilia was sincere, willing to walk away from a belt, willing to walk away from pay-per-view points. So Chimaev didn't do that. He's not saying I'm not going back to 85, at least not for now. Chimaev's not also talking about I want to do this champ thing, which then we're left to interpret. Well, does that mean he's moving to 205? And I don't think we're to that point. I want to talk about Pereira. When Dana says he's open to Pereira going up and Pereira has made it clear that he wants to go up, I'm very confident to tell you that Alex Pereira is going to be on the White House card. It's very tough to imagine a scenario, just because we haven't seen it before, where a champion, so if he stays in his division, he's got pay-per-view points, right? And I realize that's changing now, but you understand, it's got an activation clause in the contract. It's also got a world title. It's very tough to imagine a scenario where a guy that could do that is going to leave the weight class for less than that, which would mean if Pereira is to go up, he would be fighting for a title. Now, what title would that be? Interim title? No problem. Again, history would be on that side, and Tom's out for a little bit. And Tom would fully understand that. Tom came up that way and got an opportunity to fight for the interim belt himself. Undisputed title. That's going to create a little bit of waves. But would a sitting champion leave his division to fight for what is perceived to be a lesser belt? It's interesting. I had somebody in the know give me a suggestion, but they didn't give me the order. And what they are hearing is that a new BMF belt is going to be established at the White House. I didn't fully get that. Did they mean another BMF belt so that we'll have two active BMFs? Or do they mean a version of the BMF, for example, a White House belt? And is that the one that your sitting champion would fight for? I don't think so. I think that Alex Pereira is going to fight for a title. And I think that we're seeing the foreshadowing of that. Does that opponent become Ciryl Gane? I have a very difficult time imagining who else that opponent would be. And it is a very different scenario, but I do want to come back to the same common theme. I don't love champ. I don't love it. I like what Ilia did. I like what Islam did, which is to relinquish. If you're moving on, move on. I believe to this day that the outcome of Volkanovski-Islam would have been different had Volkanovski relinquished. And it's simply food for thought, but there doesn't appear to be a lot of discussion of Pereira at 205 pounds. And he's got a very clear opponent in Oberg. And Oberg is certainly not pushing for that fight that I've seen. Pereira is not interested in that fight that I've seen. I mean, Chimaev has associated himself with Pereira at 205 pounds 5 times more than the number 1 contender Olberg has associated himself. I think that Pierre is going up. And by the way, I think it's the right move. I like it. I've seen Pierre in the gym. He works hard, and he works hard twice a day, and he does it every day, but he has a big focus. He has to work hard. He has to be in there twice a day. He has to burn those calories. He's a very big guy. He's a very tall guy. I love the idea of Pierre at heavyweight. I love the matchup of Pierre versus Ciryl. But I do believe that if that happens, Pierre should, whether he's compelled to or does it by choice, he should relinquish the light heavyweight championship.